Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Duel Trial deck overviews for Season 3, Part 2. I'll go through the last two loaner decks for the March to April 2023 Duel Trial. And then we can go quickly through the last two decks. I think the Exodia deck should be fairly easy to go through anyway. Ooh, I got Megalo Smash X. Two copies of World Legacy Survivor. One of them is Hollow, and I also got Mom in Hollow. That's cool. Nothing like SR above, because you have to draw into it, and like some of the cards that have you draw are kind of finicky. Like this one only draws you one card. This one only draws you one card unless they destroy it, but it's not always going to be getting destroyed. I guess Obliterate could be another good card, because then you can just get the monsters that you sent to the graveyard with Legend, Exodia, and Conning, get them back. And or by its own effect. Oh yeah, so once it's destroyed or something, since it's a continuous trap. But this only grabs you one, and this is a little slow, so I'm not sure if it's the best removal to toll, and only returns into hand or to the X deck, so it's probably better to use on X deck monsters. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so there's a lot of draw power with this deck, and there's also removal with this deck. And of course they got the Maharagi with the creature swap, and it also has an ability that's somewhat useful. It allows you to put cards either on the bottom if it's crap, or on the top if it's actually a good card. You might even want to put a Forbidden One on the bottom, even though you kind of want to draw them. But if you only have a few pieces anyway, or even if you have three and this is your fourth one, you probably would rather draw into a draw card. So it might even just be worth it. Unless you have no way of shuffling a deck, then maybe you do want to draw into that. I'm not sure if you have a way to shuffle your deck. So if you don't, maybe it's better to just keep it on top and then just draw into the Exodia piece. It does sacrifice a draw potentially, but if you have no way of shuffling a deck, I mean, actually you do. This one, you can shuffle your deck with it. And this one, but once you get all the Dogmatica searching out of here, there's not really gonna be a ton of other ways to shuffle your deck. I guess Obliterate also. So maybe you could also put it on the bottom, because you could always get out of the deck with Obliterate. Okay, so there's reasons you may want to just put a piece on the bottom if you want to get into a draw. You have ways to mitigate that sort of thing. And then the X deck is just a bunch of monsters that have graveyard effects to use with the Dogmatica Punishment. You're not actually going to be going into these. I mean, technically you could go into some of these. Namely, I think just this one. But I mean, that would probably be a waste of resources. I mean, 2600, not too bad of stats. It might be kind of hard getting 3 effect monsters on the field that you can that you're not going to be using for other reasons. And if you do give the spear to the to your opponent, just don't destroy it with whatever you take from them, I would say, because it's going to return to your hand either way. Even if it's on their field, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Yeah, so Yeah, and also there are a few ways of kind of stalling and like making sure that you're not losing life points from your opponent's attacks. But there's actually not really a ton of ways for that. Like, I mean, sure, the destruction is pretty nice, but eventually you could run out and then your opponent could just like attack you for game anyway. I think that might be like another problem. And like these cards that stop attacks, they kind of only like except for like the dogmatic punishment, like they can only just stop one attack. Actually, this is really the only one, and it just stops the one attack. And this one doesn't even stop the damage. It just lets you draw a card. So yeah, I just don't think there's enough stalling in here to really like try to like be able to win like by Exodia a whole bunch. So this one's probably the weakest of the three, I would say. I mean, the dogmatic punishment is pretty nice, but like, you won't always get to it right away. And that's the only way you're going to be sending monsters from the EX deck to the graveyard. I mean, most of the time it does help you get rid of like multiple cards and multiple monsters. But again, like once you use them up, like then your opponent can feel free, like can know like they like exhausted your like destruction tactics, and now they can like be free to just go in for damage at that point. I mean, sure, this is nice because it can like attack through some monsters, but then like if they put up monsters at a higher attack, like that's not really gonna be that great. I guess this could like potentially gain a bunch of attack, but you would have to have a whole bunch of forbidden ones in the graveyard, and this is the only way to put them in there besides him. I don't think he actually puts them in the graveyard. It's kind of nice that he can like potentially get you quite a few draws though, at least. But yeah, there's pretty much the deck there. And then I'm gonna go into the last deck. So this one is Venomous Turnover. And of course, just like the others, it's got an alternative win condition. But it's also got a way to like, but it's also got nice ways of being able to like damage your opponent to death. Just like the Condemned Death, like, is actually has some pretty nice ways of being able to like defeat your opponent by battle damage too. I'm not sure like of the Condemned Message or the Venomous Turnover which one is actually stronger, but I'll go through this and maybe you guys can like, if you want, can let me know in the comments. Like there's an idea you can put in the comments. Oh yeah, by the way, please like, share, and subscribe also besides just leaving a comment. Leaving comments are nice too, or replying to my pinned comment for the verse discussion is nice as well, but also liking, sharing, subscribing also really helps. Especially the subscribing, because I'm trying to get to a high subscriber count. It's taken a while, but I mean, I'm still working on these, if not just for like the high table group, but maybe also like I could meet this kind of high subscriber count goal one of these days. Anyway, the deck description of this reads: when using this deck, placing 3 Hyper Venom counter on Vennominaga, the deity of poison snakes, will lead you on the path to victory. To summon Vennominaga, the deity of poison snakes, destroy Vennominaga, the king of poison snakes, with any method other than combat to trigger Rise of the Snake deity. The special summon Vennominaga, the deity of poison snakes, gains increased attack with each reptile monster in your graveyard. This will give you more opportunities to deal battle damage to your opponent and lead you to victory. See, they're saying that because Vennominaga, the deity of poison snakes, needs to inflict battle damage to the opponent. But fortunately, it doesn't really need to inflict a lot of battle damage to the opponent because it's going to be getting hyper venom counters either way. And then Alien Ammonite allows you to special summon aliens. So they also got a little bit of alien support going on. Also a little bit of Ogdoadics in here. I think these are the two main deck aliens. This one supports this one, and this one supports this one. Like, so if you get out this one first that gets destroyed, this one can just re-summon it. And then if you just summon the alien ammonite, this one can summon from the hand. And this one can even summon another copy of itself. And what's nice is that, like, since you normally summon alien ammonite, if you have a target in the graveyard for ammonite and an alien dog in your hand, you can still special summon this. But, like, I mean, if you can get like at least 2 monsters out, like, that's not too bad. You can go into some pretty nice stuff, especially if your opponent has like a monster on the field themselves. Of course, Snake Rain is really good, but you're not always gonna be drawing into it, so you don't want to like think this is like the way you win. But it is nice to play Snake Rain first. Like, this is like a really good combo. You play Snake Rain first to potentially get 4 or 5 reptiles into the graveyard. And then you play Ogdoadic, and then you're guaranteed to be able to get the special summon from the graveyard, which is pretty nice. So you just send your best reptiles to the graveyard, and then Ogdoadic. And then also, these guys are pretty good being able to get themselves out of the graveyard. At least some of them are able to get themselves out of the graveyard. This one's able to special summon itself, so that one's a nice target to send. Probably an alien dog, and probably the alien dog, just because in case you do draw into an alien ammonite, even if you don't have it right away, this can get the alien dog out of the graveyard, and that's a good play just in case. Does this one have a graveyard? Yeah, this one also, it can add itself back to the hand. So this is actually really nice, because then you're guaranteed to be able to like add this back to your hand after you send off with a Snake Rain or something. And then like you have this guy in the graveyard, you're guaranteed to be able to normal summon an Ogdoadic, so you can like special summon this guy out. So Snake Rain is basically a guaranteed 2 materials on the field, which is pretty nice. Oh yeah, and then Alien Stealth Buster. So there's another alien. What is this guy's effect? Oh yeah, it's the same thing. Like adding itself back from your graveyard to the hand. So like these are also really nice sends as well. Actually, maybe not the alien dog, but the alien stealth bus. Actually, the alien stealth bus is pretty nice to send if your opponent already has a monster, which isn't too bad. I mean, I don't think you're too worried about the A counters, but putting A counters on opponent's monsters can be pretty nice, especially with the one link that like can like potentially summon stuff from the graveyard. You do have ways of being able to summon him from the graveyard, so your best bet is probably just send him to the graveyard and then find a way to summon him. Limit Reverse is actually pretty nice to summon him from the graveyard. And then if you have Offering to Snake Deity plus Rise of the Snake Deity, that's a nice way of like easily destroying him, so you can bring out the Vennominaga. Anyway, Dark Hole is another way you can destroy the Vennominaga if you want to try to win by the alternate win condition, but I think you'll have a pretty easy time winning through battle damage. So like that, so this one is probably like the alternate win condition you need to worry the least about. Then again, like I think that's also true of the Condemned Message, but winning by the Condemned Message, I think that might be one of the easiest alternate win conditions to pull off of the 3 of these. Because like it's not always gonna be easy to like destroy them by a card effect. Your opponent's probably gonna not like help you like if they think it's gonna hurt them. So and I mean, especially if they can just destroy it by battle, like even if you can bring itself out again, I'm not sure. I just don't think, I mean, it wasn't really that easy when I was playing this deck to get the alt. condition out. I mean, it's probably the quickest of the three, arguably, but I think it might be one of the hardest as well. But at least, like, you don't have to, like, lean really hard on it like you do with the Exodia. So I think don't play the Exodia, just stick to either Condemn Message or this deck and you'll probably do fine. And don't worry too much about the alternate win condition, though. If you want to pull off one of the alternate win conditions, you're probably best off just trying to get off the alternate win condition of the Destiny board, because that's probably the easiest one. And then Snake Rain, I already talked about that. I talked about this one. You destroy a reptile, destroy 2 cards, potentially activate the Rise of the Snake Deity. But it's a good destruction method anyway. It's kind of like an Icarus attack, but for reptiles. It's really nice. It can also trigger some of your cards that want to be sent from the field to the graveyard. And this is a way that you can, like, pull out some of your normal traps. Maybe get to your alternate win condition. Though it's probably better just, like, do the offering, because that's a really nice destruction card, as I said. Limited Verse can get out this guy. Also, you have a bunch of other targets that have, like, 1,000 less attack that you can bring out. But you definitely want to wait until after your opponent's stacked, even if it means taking a little bit of damage, because you want to, like, keep them on the field to use them as material. And then Old Entity Hastor, like, pretty easy to bring these out. I think you do have a few tuners, so you can bring them, the Synchros out, or you can bring the Lynx, like, if you don't have tuners, but you do have reptiles. Like, this one might not be such a bad one to start on if your opponent doesn't have a monster. Otherwise, maybe you could go into this one if your opponent does, but then it at least allows you to add 1 reptile, and that's any reptile, so that's pretty nice. But this could potentially allow you to add a bunch, I think. Maybe if you're, like, on the mirror and your opponent also, like, is playing Zeotech, or also the Destiny board if they, like, are bringing out a bunch of Destiny boards, since they will have Zeotech too. And then Cosmic Slicer, this is one you can go into as a Link 3 by using up a few more materials, and then it's another way to punish your opponent for having 8 counters, and then allows you to add 4 8 counters. And what's nice is that oh wait, no, it just adds anyway. It doesn't care if, like, there's 8 counters. Also allows you to normal summon a reptile by removing 8 counters. But what's nice about this guy rather than the Alien Shock Trooper is that you can remove them from anywhere, and this guy cares more about your opponent's monsters having 8 counters, or else you won't be able to special summon anything. And then this is another search. So that's going to be pretty much the 3 decks. I know I had to hurry it up a little bit, so I hope you got the gist of the decks. Unfortunately, I don't have time for replays. I can just show you in tomorrow's video. But if you do have any questions about these decks today, you can feel free to ask, and I'll try to, like, get them answered if I can today, if you ask any questions. But that's gonna do it for the video. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Please leave a reply if you would like for the verse discussion, to maybe get other people interested in leaving replies for that pinned verse discussion. I'll also, of course, leave the verse in the description as always, and leave the thank yous down in the description. And that'll do it for the video. Goodbye, everyone.